This tutorial we're going to cover how to enter doors and frames in the door schedule. And this will be after you've entered your tag numbers and hardware sets, as you see in this sample schedule here. So now we're ready to start entering the actual door and frame for these openings. So the first thing you want to do is just start right at the top of the list. We'll take door and opening number 1 first, and just double click that row anywhere. And when I double click it, you can see the tag number shows up here in the hardware set, and also it's just single pair. So if this should be a paired opening, I could go ahead and change that, because you can see the inactive door is grayed out. To get access to those fields, I would have to change this to a pair, and now I can edit or add an inactive door. So for right now, we're going to leave this on single. And what we can do is just we'll start entering our door first. And let's say this is going to be Currys. I'll select Currys as the vendor. When I do, it loads automatically Currys as a manufacturer, because I did set up in the manufacturer form that I buy direct from Currys, so it automatically loads them as a vendor or manufacturer. Now I can click this drop down, and you can see it's going to have everything in here by Currys, doors and frames and parts, everything. Now I can narrow down that list by selecting a category first. Since I know this is doors, I'm going to do hollow metal doors. And when I do that, it limits this drop down to doors only. Now I can even limit it even more if I wanted to only show a specific series. I can select a series here. And now the only thing I see on the list are the 607 series. And as typical with our drop downs, all you do is you can start typing, and as you type, your drop down list will get smaller. You can see now it's only showing 3-foot doors. Once I see the door I'm looking for, I can just go to it and click on it. And when I do, you can see it automatically loads all these other fields for me. Now, this is important if you're adding new doors and frames to your database. In the Add Edit Products field form, when you're adding, let's say, doors, you have all the fields here. So make sure you fill these in, because these drop downs here are what populates these fields for you here, and of course pricing information also. And frames, they have their own, you can see it shows jam depth and things like that, frame type for frames. So that's where all that data comes from, so you don't have to worry about entering all that information in there. Now we'll come down here, we'll do the same for the frame. Say we're still on Currys. And I can just again start typing M16, and let's say it is a 5 3/4. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. This is a 3070 door. I'll take this first hand. It looks like a left hand. You can put your cursor here and kind of pull this over and make this a little bit wider. So we have, where to go, 3070 left hand. We'll just take that as a frame. And again, it loads all the fields for you. The fields it doesn't populate, of course, is elevation for door and frame. Because right now the system doesn't know what elevation you're going to be using. So we're just going to call that A. And this for door up here, we're going to call this F for a flush door, or whatever you want to call them. It's all up to you. So everything else is pretty well filled in. Now I can go ahead and fill in the room information now if I want, or I can leave it blank. If you're just trying to build a schedule with opening information. In the same way with handing. Now you can see when I selected the 607 series door, it automatically put this as NH for non-handed because that door is non-handed. So I actually have to go back and change this because I need to show the handing of what the door will be. So the frame was left hand, so I'll just choose left hand here. If the opening is going to be fire rated, I can select a fire rated label that I want to show up for that opening. And whether or not it's interior or exterior, let's just leave it interior. Key symbol, that's covered in another tutorial on keying schedules, so that can be created there. This field area right here is where you can copy a tag. So we'll come back to that. So once we have all the door and frame information entered, now we can click Save Door and Frame. Now before I do that, one thing I want to point out is, you know how door schedules will typically repeat the same size opening for same size door and frame for a lot of different openings. So when that's the case, what I can do is I can put additional tag numbers in this field right here. So let's say door number 1, 3, 4, and 5 are all 3070 left-hand doors and frames with a 5 3/4 frame. So I'm going to put 3, and I'm going to separate them with a comma, no spaces, 4, 5. So I'll put those tag numbers in there. So now once I've got that in there, I can go ahead and click Save Door and Frame, and it's going to populate 1, 3, 4, and 5 with that data. Real quick, I want to go over the pricing over here. This does pull in the list price information that was built when the door and frame was entered into the system, and the discount that's currently used, a standard discount. Now this data will be used later. If you're not doing anything with the ordering, and you're just building a schedule, don't worry about anything in here. But when it comes time to order, if you want if you got a special discount from this on this job, then you would enter that special discount here now. And that way, let's say instead of, let's see, what are the typical discounts? 0.3, so let's say our discount is 0.25. Or, I'm sorry, that's the discount. Multiplier is 0.25. I can put that in here, and that'll recalculate the actual cost based on that new discount. That way, when it comes time to ordering under the ordering tab, which is covered in another tutorial, I'll be able to send that to a sales order or even an estimate or a purchase order with that pricing. So we're just going to leave it as standard for right now. Put it back to manufacturing. Okay, so once I have all this data ready to go, I click Save Door and Frame button here, and it's entering that door and frame information for those 4 openings, and it does have to reload the form. So you can see now I have the data for those openings already entered. Now I can come down to the next opening that's available. Let's say door number 2. I'll double click it. And you can see I can go back now and start entering the door and frame information. And let's say this 607, let's say this will be a 2870. So come down here to the frame, varies. $2870. Let's make this one left-hand reverse. And we'll have to make our handing up here left-hand reverse. And if everything else is the same, we can leave it. Elevation A. A couple things you can enter on the frame is whether or not it's going to be welded or knocked down. We'll just leave it knocked down. And the anchors. Maybe this is masonry T. Oop. So there we go. So now we can click Save Door and Frame. And it does reload the form because it's saving it to your database. So now everything is saved. This is for something different, so don't worry about this button for now. We'll cover that in just a bit. Alright, so now we can come down to our next opening. Now, another option, I mentioned is to copy this tag up here. Let's do tag number 6. And let's say tag number 6 is the same as maybe door number 2. All I have to do is put tag number 2 in here and then click copy this tag. And it will automatically copy everything that's entered for door number 2 into the door number 6 field. So you can see I copied it all up here, and all I have to do is save it. Now one thing you'll notice too, when I start adding doors and frames, it defaults to a quantity of 1. So if you have a door schedule or a project where the same tag number is used multiple times, like apartment buildings might have door number 1 100 times for an entry door. Well, then just change your quantity here as you enter the doors and frames, and that'll make sure the quantity shows up correctly. Okay, so let's go to our next opening. This one we're going to tag number 7. We're going to make this maybe a wood door. When we first enter this, it might take just a little bit to load because it's loading all doors in a database. And with wood doors, there are quite a few. So this will include every veneer that's already in there. There's American, you see, Poplar, Rotary Natural Burst, Select White Birch. So it takes a while to load all of these doors in there, including fire-rated doors. Now, instead of going through that list, again, you can narrow down that list by going to Category, going down to Wood Doors. I believe it's, let's see, Rotary Natural. We'll select that. And that will reload that drop down with only Rotary Natural Birch doors, as you can see here. But it still includes fire doors, PC5 and PC7 doors. So again, you can even bring the list even down farther by selecting a series, we'll say PC5. And now all I have are PC5 doors in this drop down. So now I can scroll down to the door I'm looking for, or again, I can start typing. Let's say 3070, and these are the different doors for, you can see it shows the fire rated, or 20 minute rather, not all the fire rated, and whether or not it's special finish or unfinished. So I just select the door I'm looking for. Now, another thing I want to point out too is if there's a door that you need that's not in the drop down, then just leave that blank. Come over here to add new part number, and what that'll do is open up the add edit form that says after adding new part, reselect manufacturer or category to reload the parts drop down. So that would mean reselecting the manufacturer here or the category here to reload this drop down so the new door number that you are adding will show up. So we'll say OK to that, and that will then bring up the add edit products form. And then from here you can start adding your door as needed, all the information, whether it's part of Toad or whatever. Then once you save it, again, come back over here and reselect this category. That's probably the easiest way, or reselect the manufacturer. On wood doors, I would go straight to category because you don't want to reload everything. Okay, and the same thing is true over here. Now, wood doors, of course, there's no pricing built in the system because pricing changes so randomly on wood doors. So you can enter your price here, which is typically a net price. So let's say your net is 120. So of course that makes your cost 120, and then all the other fields are calculated accordingly. And surcharges, if there are any, you can add that in. Okay, so the frame, we're going to go ahead and move to a hollow metal. Do M16 again. Let's make this, actually that's a left-hand door, so we need a left-hand frame. And we'll make that A. And then once we're set, we'll click Save Door and Frame. And again, it reloads the form for me. Now, let's say I meant to select doors 8 and 9 because they're going to be the same thing as door number 7, a 3070 wood door and hollow metal frame. So I'll just double click 7 again. It brings it up here. I'll go ahead and add 8, 9 here. Now I'll click Save Door and Frame. And that's not going to load 8 and 9 with the same information as door number 7. So here we go. So now we have all of our doors and frames, all the information added. Let's say we missed a door. Maybe there's door number 10. A couple things you can do. You come back over here to door schedule tags, and you can add tag 10, add tag number, then add the hardware set for it. Or in the door schedule form, you can do it directly here. So we'll go ahead and put tag number 10. And we're going to go ahead and leave it as a wood door, but maybe this is going to be PC52870. And we'll just do the left hand here. And the same thing down here. 2870, left hand. And if I have additional tags I need to add as a new opening, I can go ahead and enter them here. And then we'll click Save Door and Frame. And there's our no tag number. Now, let's say I have made a mistake. Door number 10. It should have been 10A or 10B. One thing you do not want to do is open this up and try to make the change up here. Now, the way to change a tag number is you open it up by double clicking it. Let's say instead of 10, that should have been 10A. Click this button here, change tag name. Now the reason you're going to do this is because this tag number needs to be changed for any hardware that may have already been entered for that opening. So it's important that you do not try to make that change here, but click this change tag name. And here you can see new tag number. Let's say this is 10A is what I want. We'll click Save. And what it's going to do is it's going to make the change here in the door schedule. And also, if there was any hardware already entered for that door opening, it would change the tag number there under the hardware section of the form. So there you can see we have now tag number 10A. Some other things on here you can do, like view door cut sheet. Once you have a door pulled up, you can click this button, and that will open up the cut sheet that's saved for that door, if you need to look at that for some reason. And the same with the frame, but you have to make sure a frame is selected before you can view it. If there is no cut sheet, then you can't create one. That's all covered in another tutorial. Here you can have print part and tag labels. Again, that's covered in another tutorial. You can print out labels that you can attach to the doors and frames with the tag number on it and things like that before you ship them out to the field. Now, to cover this down here, this Save Door Schedule Grid Changes, you can make changes in this grid here, but only on columns that have a blue heading. For example, I can come down here and I can enter room information. And you just do that by clicking in the field and just start typing. And I can go down the list and enter all this information. And let's see, this is 2, 3. And once I've entered all that information, I can click Save Door Schedule Grid Changes, and it'll save that data to the database for me. So let's come over, let's say like this interior, exterior, some other things you can do with this grid. Let's say all these fields here should be interior. What I can do, instead of going through and typing, I can click on it and do Control-C on my keyboard, and that copies that field. Now I can come down here, I can click in the first field, I can come down to the last field, hold the Shift key down on my keyboard, click it, it selects every field in between. Now I can do Control-V on my keyboard, and it'll paste that data in there for me. So let's go ahead and take that back out. Another thing you can do is I can do, again, the Control-C to copy this, and maybe I just want 6, 7, and 9. I can hold the Control key down on my keyboard, click in 6, 7, and 9. And now I've highlighted those. And again, now all I have to do is click Control-V, and it pastes it into just those fields. Now, whenever you're pasting into these fields, if these values come from a drop-down, for example, interior, exterior, that's a drop-down right here. Make sure you use the first on the left side of that tilde character. That tilde character is on your keyboard. It's a special character, but anything to the left of that. So if I want exterior, I do not want to use the word exterior. I want EXT. So I'll come down here and I'll type EXT. And now when I click Save and Door Schedule Changes, it will save this for me into the grid. The same way with handing. If I want to change a handing, make sure you're using the correct letters on the left side of the tilde. Like maybe this door number 8 should have been right-hand reverse. So I'll come down here, I can highlight it. I am making sure that's all caps. It might not make any difference, but I do it anyway. Now it's right-hand reverse. Now when I click Save Door Schedule Changes, see there's a hidden ID that you don't see. It's in the background that identifies right-hand reverse from this drop-down. So that ID is important. So you want to make sure you get the correct letters associated down here. And the same with From To, that's a drop down, as you can see there. And quantity, I can also come in here, I can change quantity. And you have some other fields over here. Door elevation, I can change that because it's highlighted. Quantity for inactive, it's all 0 because there aren't any. And there's also door elevation, quantity for frame. And you also have welding and knockdown. Again, that's from a drop down. So you want to make sure you use whatever is on the left of that tilde character. Frame elevation, anchors also, that's from a drop down. So make sure you use whatever's to the left. And then remarks, which can be whatever you want to type in there. And that's it. So that's how you would edit a schedule. Now, any other changes that you need to make should be done up here. So there's a door that maybe you put the wrong opening in. We don't allow the changes down here. I know you could select the drop down and copy whatever's in that field. But the problem is, if you're changing it, let's say a size or anything like that, even a design, that door affects all these fields right here. So the changes need to be made up here in order to save it for everything. Also, if you're changing a door opening, you can make multiple changes. So I've got door number 6 open, which is a 2870. I can also change 10A if that change, whatever I'm going to make up here, is going to be the same change for 10A. Again, I'll just use this 10A additional tag field and type that in there. So when I click Save Door and Frame, it's going to save any changes I've made for 6 into 10A also, or any other opening. So that's how you get all this information entered. There are some other ways, like using Abby, that's covered in another tutorial, where you can actually copy from a PDF set of plans like this. It'll copy this door schedule into an Excel spreadsheet, and you can then blow it right into the door schedule. You will have to make changes to the actual part number, but that's all covered in another tutorial. Now, if you need to remove an opening, let's say 10A was actually not needed. Now, this can happen too if you get you send out these schedules to the architect for approval, and he sends it back, and he says we don't need door number 10A. Best thing to do is under Open Job, create a new revision. This should be covered on another tutorial also. But create a new revision. That way you'll still have this number 0 if for some reason they ever go back to that schedule with door number 10A. But you create a new revision, then go into the revised copy, go into the door schedule form, and now we can remove 10A. You just simply double click it. When it opens up here, it's reloading all the wood doors. Now we can click Remove from List. I was telling you, if we want to permanently remove this tag number, we'll say yes. So it's going to reload the form, that remove that 10A, and it also removed that tag number from any hardware sets if it had been used yet. Now down here you have an Add Door Schedule Notes. If you click that button, it opens up this form. You can add notes that you might want to say about this schedule. It could be anything like all frames to be welded and prime painted. Anything you want to say that's like an overview of the whole schedule or the whole job that you're supplying. And let's say we'll just go ahead and do that. So all frames to be welded. I'll go ahead and save that. Now we come over and we take a look at the view the door schedule. If I start going through here, there's the legend. There's the door schedule notes. So that will show up in your schedule that you're going to send out for approval. Anything you might want to say. It could cover almost anything. If you don't have any notes, just leave it blank. This will not even show up in your schedule. But now you can see we have all the information entered for on the door schedule form that we're going to be printing out and sending out for approval. Now down here is where you can actually print out the schedules. You can print out just the door schedule or the hardware schedule or both. The cut sheets, that you can include cut sheets by checking these boxes. Cut sheets all means that it includes doors and frames. If you're just printing a door schedule and you just want cut sheets for the doors and frames, you'll check that. Now these cut sheets need to be created first, and that is done over here under this Create Cut Sheets button right here. And again, that's covered on another tutorial. But once they've been created, then when I'm ready to print them out, if I want to include them, I can either check this box, which on this job hasn't been created yet. Let's try opening up another job where I'm pretty sure they are loaded. Take this one. If I check that box, you can see the cut sheets have been created. And when I click Print Schedules, it's going to create or print door, hardware, and cut sheets all in one file, or in all one printing, either way. Or I can export them out to one big file. So that pretty well covers it on the door schedule form. One more field I meant to mention is you can add a remark for an opening. This will be for any particular opening. Let's go ahead and we'll do this opening here. If there's anything I want to say about this tag number 3, I can type it in here. Whatever it might be. It could be hardware by others. And that way when it shows up on the schedule, that note will be there that somebody else is supplying the hardware for that opening. And I could even include that over on the hardware schedule for that hardware set number 3. But that's covered in another tutorial too. Okay, so that should pretty well cover everything. I believe we've gone over everything. This account type, that's for if you watch the tutorials on ordering, that controls your markup. So if this is actually marked for distributor, if it was marked for contractor, you can see it changes the markup. Or I can do a special markup, and I can type in my whatever I want to use. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Of course, round retail, that if that box is checked, that rounds retail prices. Some people don't like cents or pennies in the overall price. Now, of course, can't change that on sales taxes. Sales tax is what it is, so that will always probably have cents or pennies and cents in it. Okay, so that should well, I believe that covers everything. Oh, one more thing. You can create just a generic type schedule. Let me go ahead and clear these fields. Let's say we're going to, what do we have here? Let's do tag number 56. And I'm going to still go ahead and use Curry's. And instead of selecting from this drop down, I can just type in my own part number, 3070F, say 18 gauge, and whatever I want to, cylindrical block. Now when I do that, of course, none of these fields are going to get filled in because the system doesn't know what you want for this. So I will have to go through and fill this in, put the quantity in, go ahead and do the size, 3070. Material is cold rolled, lock was cylindrical, design, we'll make it flush, gauge, I want to select hollow metal doors for category, and I just lost my part number, so I'll put it back. Okay, so that was 18 gauge, thickness 1 3/4, and finish is prime paint. And I can do the same for the frame. I can go ahead and click Save Door and Frame. That saves it to the grid. So you can see it added the door down here. Now if I were to go over to door frame vendor hardware quotes, now this is just imagining that I did this for all these openings. If I go under here, we'll do doors and frames, select Curry's. Now you can see it added this door here is just a part number with just enough information that Curry's could tell what kind of a door basically we needed. And from this I could create a file, and just like I said, this is just imagining that all these were done that way with just generic names, and I could send that out to Curry's to get a quote for any special pricing. You can even email it here. That's all covered under another tutorial. So this is just to let you know you're not limited to only what's in the drop down. You can type in your own part number if you like. You could do the whole job that way if you wanted. Of course, when you go to ordering and things like that, you can't really order anything because they're not associated with any parts in your database. But that's where this update products, discounts, and markups would come in. You could update all these generic part numbers to a part out of your database. And again, that's covered under another tutorial. Okay, so that should, I believe that covers everything. I know I keep coming back to it. I don't see anything else we haven't covered that should be relevant. So if you have any questions or comments on any of this, please feel free to give us a call or email, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks.